8:55 a.m. yesterday morning, Charlottetown Police Services arrested Todd Joseph Gallant, age 56, of Surrey, as we have significant forensic evidence to believe he is responsible for the death of Byron Carr.
Byron Carr, a PEI teacher, was murdered in 1988, a case that went unsolved for 35 years, a murder that shocked Prince Edward Islanders and left many living in fear. Now police say they believe they have found his killer. "35 years later, Charlottetown police have made an arrest in relation to the death of Byron Carr. 56-year-old Todd Joseph Gallant has been arrested. He's charged with first-degree murder and interfering with human remains. 36-year-old Byron Carr was killed in 1988. The beloved teacher was found strangled to death in his home in Charlottetown. A message at the scene read, "I will kill again." The case has haunted Islanders for 35 years, and in all that time, no arrests have been made until today. Good evening. You're watching Compass. We begin our coverage tonight with Wayne Thibodeau, who joins us live for more on how police made this arrest and what we know so far. Wayne, 35 years later, describe the mood at police headquarters today.
Well, Louise, it was an emotional day today. More than 20 members of Byron Carr's family packed into the boardroom here at Charlottetown Police Headquarters, many of them wiping away tears to learn more about a crime that Charlottetown Police Chief Brad McConnell said shook our city and our province to its core. Now, police have been trying to piece together what happened to Byron Carr, as you said, for more than 35 years. They believe he met someone downtown the night that he was killed and took them back to his home. Police believe that person was his killer, but police could not identify that man until now. Brad McConnell got emotional as he talked about the impact this crime has had on Carr's family and his friends.
We would like to thank Byron Carr's family for their patience and support throughout this investigation. We only wish we could have given these answers sooner. As well, we would like to thank everyone who supported our investigation and search for the truth over the past 35 years. There's still much work to be done, but we hope this arrest will give you some of the peace of mind you've longed for.
Now, police say their investigation was stymied because many people didn't want to come forward or didn't feel comfortable coming forward. Louise, you have to realize this was a different time on Prince Edward Island. Many on the island's small LGBT community didn't feel comfortable coming forward because of fear of being outed or a distrust of police. That during today's news conference, McConnell referred to it as a dark and unfortunate time in our province's history.
So, Wayne, what do we know at this point anyway about the person who's been charged in this case, Todd Joseph Gallant?
Well, police say he has previous convictions, one for break and enter on the island back in 1987. Now, police believe that Gallant lived in Charlottetown in 1988. He would have been 21 years at the time, and that's the year that Byron Carr was killed. But police say he moved to the States, living in Texas and Arkansas. After Carr was killed, he returned home to PEI in 2022. That Gallant has a criminal record in Texas. McConnell says police here are working with law enforcement agencies in those areas. Now, a second person was arrested in connection with this case, but police say that individual was released late yesterday. Police continue to investigate what, if any, involvement that individual had in Byron Carr's death.
And such a long time to get to this point, Wayne. What led to the breakthrough? What got police to this point to be able to make an arrest?
Well, in 3 letters, DNA. Now, we should point out that police worked tirelessly on this case. Ever since Brad McConnell, who was an investigator at the time, reopened the cold case back in 2007. Now, police officers I talked to today here at police headquarters say McConnell worked tirelessly, nights and weekends, poring over every piece of evidence they had in this case. Now, police were pinning their hopes on DNA technology and new genealogy, and in particular, evidence gathered from the crime scene. A pair of underwear left in Carr's home the night he was killed, underwear they believe belonged to the killer. McConnell says he's not sure there would have been an arrest today if it wasn't for that new technology.
We had DNA from the crime scene. We believed if we could find a match to that DNA, we could find the person responsible. Knowing that, and certainly combining advances in DNA with some genetic genealogy work, we were able to identify one of the individuals associated to those profiles found at the crime scene. And through that, we were able to identify Todd Joseph Gland.
Now, police say they won't release any more information about their investigation because it's now before the courts. Now, McConnell was asked today during the news conference if this was a hate crime. He says police have not ruled that out. Gallant is scheduled to appear in provincial court here in Charlottetown on February 1st.
All right. Thank you for all of this, Wayne. Much appreciated. That's Wayne Thibodeau reporting live just outside Charlottetown Police Headquarters tonight. This is, as you can only imagine, an extremely emotional day for Byron Carr's family, friends, and the overall community. It's something they've been waiting for more than 3 decades. Laura Meter has their reaction.
It's been a long wait for the family of Byron Carr. Many came to the police announcement. They'd been told about a week ago there was progress with the cold case.
It's like a weight being lifted off you. It's hard to describe. It's just kind of a release.
His older brother says Byron was well liked, but the 80s were a difficult time to be gay. People were not out. He thanked Police Chief Brad McConnell for sticking with the investigation.
Brad McConnell, especially in the later years, took this under his wing, and he did everything he could to advance the case. There's no question about that.
Advocates say there's been a lot of attention on Byron Carr's murder over the years, and it's been hard for members of the community who were sometimes brought in and questioned.
Whenever this case would get investigated again, whenever they would reopen this cold case, then it did have a cost on gay men in Charlottetown and in PEI.
The LGBTQ community says the case is an important part of history.
We've seen great change in the way that people treat LGBTQIA people. Again, I wish Byron's parents had seen this. I know all but one of his siblings is alive to see it, and that feels good. But it's really about giving Byron the respect he deserves and the family the closure on this case.
Sally Pitt covered the case for decades and says the fact that forensic evidence helped move the case forward is significant.
It's been a long 35 years trying to find some resolution for this, and even though it's still early days and it's just a charge at this point, it's a major step forward for them.
The family says Byron's parents thought about the case often. His mom died 5 years ago, his father 2.5 years ago.
It was always foremost on their mind. And the police did visit them on a number of occasions, and they were grateful for that.
Byron's brother is also grateful the case will now be heard in court. Laura Meter, CBC News, Charlottetown.
So you heard Wayne mention this during today's police update. Police Chief Brad McConnell talked about new DNA technology that helped them pinpoint a suspect. It's called genetic genealogy. Here is Police Chief Brad McConnell explaining how that works.
Genetic genealogy is a game changer for police and how we investigate major crimes. We're seeing some amazing results across the country, across North America. Cases 50 plus years being solved. It's a process of sampling crime scene exhibits, generating a DNA profile. A DNA profile that's exposed to advanced methods of DNA. And once that profile is generated, it is uploaded through a law enforcement mechanism with sites like Family Tree DNA, GEDmatch, to find common relatives of people in those databanks. And then, over time, you narrow your focus by the people you see, seeing how people connect and families connect. And it's a long process. There's no straight line to the finish.
And to better understand the volume of investigative work that went into the Byron Carr murder, we're going to take you back now to 2018. Reporter Sally Pitt did an update on the then 30-year-old cold case and some of the challenges police met along the way.
1988, Byron Carr's body was found in his home in a quiet Charlottetown neighborhood. He'd been strangled to death with a towel and stabbed, and the killer left a chilling message in pen on the wall.
It states, "I will kill again."
At the time, police said they believed Carr was killed by a man he had consensual sex with that night. Now, 30 years later, the officer who reopened the investigation says he believes the fact that Carr was gay made the investigation more difficult than it might have been otherwise.
I don't think this case was given the same level of sympathy from our community as others have. There's no secret that Mr. Carr was a gay man at the time, and he was outed by his death. That sensationalism at the time, when we were living in a different time in our culture, caused people some apprehension to want to get involved. I personally find that very disappointing.
Police reopened the investigation in 2007, and since then the information and evidence have slowly been coming together. There's a profile of the killer. Police believe he was between 15 and 25 at the time, with a lean build, bisexual, a man with previous convictions for low-level crimes, and they think he lived in the Charlottetown area. The killer left his underwear behind at Carr's house by mistake, so police have his DNA, also DNA from a woman the killer had sex with. Police also know the killer brought an accomplice back to Carr's house after the murder to clean up any incriminating evidence. And police have this sketch of a man who attacked another gay man a couple of months after Carr's death. Because of the similarities in the crimes, police think that attacker may have been the man who killed Carr. Police have eliminated hundreds of suspects one by one. Either their DNA didn't match or they had an alibi for the time. They might have been in jail or living in another province. There are still hundreds of other potential suspects on their list, but police still believe it is possible to solve this murder, and they'd like to do that for Byron Carr's family.
Please help us bring this family closure, bring justice for Byron, and I think all the family and the community will sleep better.
Just this summer, police got a fresh lead about Carr's murder. Someone called police back in July twice, saying he had information about the killing, but didn't leave his name. Police are urging that man and anyone else who knows something, anything, to come forward. They believe Carr's killer would be in his late 40s to early 50s today. Sally Pitt, CBC News, Charlottetown.
So that was Sally's story from 2018. Today, 2024, and an arrest is made. You can read and watch more about the Byron Carr cold case online on our website, cbc.ca/PEI. To other news tonight, where some